Let's talk to Steve, who's on the line and who lives in the Royal Artillery Quay. Hello, Steve. Tell me about cladding and its impact on you and your life. Morning. Thanks for ringing.
Good morning. Yes, we got a £30 million cladding bill to pay until the announcement yesterday, but we'll come to that. And we're also paying £6,000 a year waiting watch with potentially 1,000% insurance hike kicking in March. So it's going to be in addition to the £6,000 a year service charge.
Yes.
So yes, it's terrifying.
And so this kind of life raft that's been offered, this £3.5 billion, how is that, or is it affecting you and helping you in any way?
Well, it's a difficult issue because when the cladding comes off, in our situation, we're okay in terms of the initial pledge of money for the cladding. So we've got buildings that are all greater than 80 metres. However, when the cladding comes off, costs can escalate. And if you have a look at the Building Safety Fund contract, it says if cost escalation occurs, your building owner, i.e. the leaseholders, have to pay. And also, what's really killing us isn't the cladding cost at all. It's the waiting watch and insurance hikes. And that's very, very expensive. That could push people into bankruptcy before they even get this so-called bailout by the government. So, yeah, it's really very worrying for us. And we've had to talk someone down from suicide last week. We've got people on antidepressants because people are taking loans out to pay their service charge. And some service charges are becoming more expensive than their monthly mortgage payments. So, the government are actively legislating to push costs onto people that are causing their mental health to deteriorate. And I'll tell you what the real scandal is about the announcement yesterday.
Please do.
This is big. Okay, so this is what I've done a little diagram on Twitter.
Yeah.
But basically what it says is that developers who should have paid in full for the remediation of their buildings when they didn't build them to building regulations at the time of construction, we think they should pay fully, not the 2% levy that Robert Jenrick's let them off with, the actual full 13 to 30 million pounds per development to fix the buildings because they didn't build them correctly in the first place. Now, this deal, and this is why I guess companies such as Barratt have been calling for the levy, because they've realised if they're getting out of £13 million of development to pay a 2% levy when they've made £2 billion profit over the last years since Grenfell, it's a very good deal, isn't it?
Gosh. And so you're pointing this out. Do you think that what you're saying is news to people, or do you think this is something that people are already aware of?
No, it's a hidden thing, and I've been trying to make people aware since the announcement. And I'll share it with your team. It's very important we get the message out that there's only one tick on the box in this deal. The building safety crisis covers other things such as the internal walls, so you can have holes in the internal walls, and the fire just goes through the holes. You'd have to be a fire expert to understand that. That's called internal fire stopping. There's loads of issues with that, and that's not covered. And yes.
And how much of your time and your life is taken up by all of this, Steve?
4 months full time. I've been campaigning at Royal Artillery Quays to get a meeting with Barratt, and through a lot of pressure, we've managed to get £1.3 million out of them for other defects, and now they're meeting us to discuss actually coming up with a solution, which we're grateful for.
What are you hoping? I mean, if they were to respond in as far as you're concerned, the ideal way, exactly what you would like them to say and do, what would that be?
Well, we bought into their vision of a safe home. We looked at their website. They say they're responsible as a developer. So we would expect them to meet the shortfall that isn't covered by the public funding. So that would be the waking watch insurance, the internal walls, and so forth. And then they can take the public funding to basically cover the rest of the costs. But yeah, because, you have to think about it. You're talking to me now. I'm in a Grenfell-style building. Our cladding was banned in Victoria, Australia, on the day Sir Keir Starmer visited Royal Artillery Quays last Monday. So our cladding in some part of the world is so dangerous that they've banned it. It was proved as dangerous as the Grenfell style cladding by a test in Victoria, Australia. So when Generic says the cladding isn't the most dangerous type, he's wrong. EPS cladding, which is the cladding we have, expired polystyrene, is as dangerous as ACM, and it's been proven. But our government in 2020 refused to test EPS cladding. They said it's not as dangerous, and they still haven't tested it, because if they did, they'd have to put that in the category of ACM cladding, and that would be disastrous. And what we're saying is we need a comprehensive solution. We need the government to take on all buildings, not split us against each other with the 18-metre height rule. Take it on and then really go after those that are responsible, not with a small levy or a tax, but if the buildings weren't built correctly to regulations in the first place, then the builders jolly well, if they've got the money, should pay. They should pay for the whole remediation for each development that wasn't built correctly. Why should the taxpayer be bailing out the failures of the construction industry?
I mean, this is a mission and a half, isn't it, for you? And I do appreciate you taking time to talk to us and explain it more clearly to everybody. People who are fortunate enough not to be taken up by it, but obviously is something that we can't ignore and probably shouldn't ignore. Thank you very much indeed, Steve. There campaigning Re the Cladding and lives at the Royal Artillery Quay. We'll take a trail